He is the president of the Heritage Conference, also the Homer Center High School principal. He's Jody Rainey, as the conference yesterday announcing a 12th member. Conemaugh Township is coming in. Our conversation with Jody Rainey brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Jody, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
Wonderful, and it's good to have you on the air with us here this morning as we talk about the latest member to come in and the expansion of the Heritage Conference. Now 12-member schools. That's a lot of let's put it this way. That's a lot of flexibility you have when it comes to scheduling sports teams, isn't it?
It is. Having a 12th team also makes that a lot easier. We don't have a team hanging out there with open dates now, so that's on one end, that's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about Conemaugh Township coming in. And obviously people will have concerns of the Conemaugh Township's too far away. But with the other schools that are coming into the conference from that neighborhood, it does give you the chance to sort of set up different segments or different sections in the conference, does it not?
It does, but the one thing, Todd, that really surprised me when we were doing our investigating and looking into, adding Conemaugh Township is I was really shocked to learn that. Do you realize that Conemaugh Township is only 24 miles away from Homer Center?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's that close. It's kind of scary that I thought, man, they're out there a little bit further, and and I always talk about geography, but they're relatively close. So I think that works well, and the flexibility that it does give us in scheduling. There were so many positives when we were having conversations with their administration and their school board. I just think that they really fit what we're looking for. They're very committed to providing opportunities for kids in all three areas that we continually talk about in the academics, athletics, and arts. I just think this is a really good fit, and it does match, too, with the addition of Conemaugh Valley and then Portage coming in as well. I just think geographically it works for us. It also works for us from a standpoint of, I think there's a shared value and a sense of, everybody wanting to work towards the mission of, positive, enriching experiences for students.
Conemaugh Township, of course, coming into the conference, and you mentioned the other two schools that are joining. And as we think about it, there are obviously great differences when you're scheduling football in the fall as opposed to basketball. And the flexibility that is involved. How is the structure going to be in the Heritage Conference when we get to that 2023-24 school year and we have these 12 schools?
Yeah, we still have to decide that. When we had our vote as a conference to take Conemaugh Township, we did discuss, other than football, really section play, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but what happens is you play your section twice and you play cross-section one time. So you will face every school in the conference in all other sports other than football becomes the question mark. And then if you break into two sections, this is what it looks like potentially. So we haven't even decided section alignment yet and how that's going to look. We have some ideas, but we also asked our current member schools to go back, have those discussions internally, and then we plan to meet here sometime soon, hopefully before the end of April. The other option is, instead of having two sections of 6 in football, the other option is you could scrimmage one member of the conference, and then you have 10 games, and that fills your complete schedule with 10 dates. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple different ways to look at it, and we're going to analyze that, and we'll make the best decision that we think is for the best for not only our kids but also our communities too, because they're the ones that are coming out and supporting these kids and coming to events, and we want to make it as best we can for both kids and our communities.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I thought that Conemaugh Township had voted to join the Laurel Highlands Conference earlier this winter, and in so doing, they would be a member of that conference and not any other. Is that correct, or is it one of those we can play in two conferences at one thing? I don't think that would work.
Yeah, well, it is correct that they did make the vote to join the Laurel Highlands, and then we call it the Somerset 5. Conemaugh Township, Wimber, North Star, Merlin, and Myersdale. And so they all went that direction. And Myersdale, the ICC conference, they decided that they were only offering those teams at one time football-only schedules. Then they changed course when some of the ICC teams did leave the ICC for Laurel Highlands, Bellwood being one. And so ICC opened the invitation to the Somerset Five for full membership. Myersdale rescinded their motion and went to the ICC. Conemaugh Township contacted us. We started discussion, and they rescinded their motion to join the Laurel Highlands. And then they voted to join the Heritage.
Well, it's interesting, this sort of eastward expansion of the Heritage Conference now as we think about moving a little bit further away from that Indiana County base, but still keep that regional, that geographic connection. And I would think that Northern Cambria, again, would be thrilled most of all with something like this, because they've got some traditional rivals that they played for a lot of years that they've not been able to play, and now here they are again with some of those old rivalries back.
Yeah, in a way, yes, in a way, maybe no, Todd. And I say that because you got to remember, Northern Cambria was one of the founding members of the Heritage Conference, so they've been with us now for over 20 years. And at one time, like, I hate to say the word old-timers, but the people have been in that community for many years. I think that that's something that may excite them, having, the opportunity to go play the Portages and the Townships teams that they had past history with. But on the same token is, over the last 20 years, I think Northern Cambria has established some healthy rivalries with a school like Purchase Line, a school like Penns Manor. They bordered are relatively close as well. So I think that when you're looking at historically, I think that, these additions, be like, yeah, Northern's like, let's go, but they also are cognizant of their kids today that would probably view a Penns Manor and a Purchase Line potentially as a bigger rivalry than the others. So, it's exciting. It's a chance for them to reconnect and reestablish that. But on the same token, we got to be cognizant and careful when we're talking about alignments that, we don't forget that some of those schools that live on the fringe and would make sense maybe to join a section that way also have a chance to have a say in that and not make assumptions on what they may prefer or what would be better for them. I think that's why I've been cautiously moving forward, deliberately I should say moving forward, in making sure that we just don't jump to conclusions and we have a meeting where we're sitting down and we've asked those schools to talk to their admin teams and their superintendent and their boards to see what maybe their preference would be when we start looking at section alignments.
Some of the big events of the Heritage Conference, of course, include the Appalachian Bowl. What happens with it?
Well, it's on for this year because the Westpac still is going to be playing football this year. And that's one of the things I was saying earlier, Todd. I really love the idea of a culminating game and a championship. I think that we look at our mission, positive, enriching experiences for students. I think that having a championship week and having that culminating game where maybe it's just the Heritage, but it's the Heritage Championship. I might have lost to you earlier in the year, but now I have a chance to come back and capture that championship. But that also does create some other issues where, okay, we have sections now. Let's just use an example. If United would happen to be in the section with some of those Cambria Somerset teams, Homer Center and United have a pretty good rival and a pretty good thing going. We want to make sure that we protect that rivalry game too. And again, we're talking really about football because the other sports we do play cross sections, but you only have 10 games when you're playing in a Heritage schedule.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to be deliberate. We need to take our time and we need to get it right. And I always believe a good final decision is where everybody's kind of has a little bit of happiness, but maybe some people have a little bad taste about it too. I mean, that's the sense of compromise, and we're going to get it right for kids, and we'll take all the time we need to get it right for them.
The other great event in the Heritage Conference is the Road to the KCAC, and I would assume that with new member schools coming in, that event is not in any jeopardy, is it?
Oh, no, the Road to the KCAC, we've been very clear with any school that's a little further out that the one thing that we will not budge on that is not even open for discussion is we are having our volleyball championships. We will continue to have our cheer championships, and we will absolutely continue to have our basketball championships at the KCAC. That's non-negotiable. Everybody that we've accepted in the conference knows that. It's one of the first things we tell them. We will not entertain any discussion on that at all. We will definitely be at the KCAC for volleyball, cheer, and basketball. Absolutely. 100%, no doubt.
He is Jody Rainey, president of the Heritage Conference. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Todd. Have a good Easter.
You too.
Easter.
You too.